All right. So why don't we get started? Good morning, good evening. Like I said, we are with USMLE Sarthi and answering questions today on all aspects of USMLE Step 1 CK OET prep. And we have Dr. Praneeth Reddy with us. So Praneeth, let me hand it over to you to introduce yourself, and then I'll go over some of the questions that we have received.
Hello everyone, welcome to our channel again. I'm Praneeth. So I've finished my step 1 CK and I'm going to apply for the match this year. And we usually run also the step 1 mentorship program. We're here to answer your questions today regarding the USMLE exams and the OET.
Okay. So the first question is, I have finished first pass of step 1 UWorld and planning for the revision phase. How should I plan my assessments? Which NBMEs should I take and which ones are most predictive?
Right, that's an important question regarding the revision phase and the newer NBMEs that are out on step 1. So as far as the planning for revision phase is concerned, it is about number 1, mastering first aid with your annotations from UWorld and boards and beyond. Number 2, the focus is on writing these assessments. Like I always said, people always tend to push their assessment towards the end and waste another 1 to 2, spend another 1 to 2 extra months just to write the assessments. So plan them early, start taking them right from the revision phase. That is after finishing the first pass of UWorld and taking a couple of weeks to read the annotated first aid end to end. Then start taking these assessments one every 7 to 10 days with the second pass of UWorld. So that's about planning the revision phase. And then about which NBMEs should you be taking for step 1.
Mm-hmm.
So the newer NBMEs is what are usually, they are filled with questions, most important questions from the older NBMEs. And also they have concepts that are in line with the changing question pool or the content distribution. So you don't have to waste your time writing the older NBMEs and the newer ones, or don't be afraid of the score predictions of the newer ones and then just don't write the older NBMEs. So all you have to do is only take the newer NBMEs. That will be enough, along with the UWSA 1 and UWSA 2 that come with the UWorld subscription. And I think that the next part of the question is about the predictiveness of these NBMEs.
Yes.
So I have gone through the data, existing data on these predictiveness of the newer NBMEs. I would say that the data is still evolving. That is, it's just only been 4 to 5 weeks since the newer NBMEs were out. And the step 1 score usually takes 3 weeks to be out. So there are not many people who reported both the real score as well as the newer NBME scores. But with whatever we have and comparing the newer NBMEs with the older ones and newer NBMEs with the real scores, I would say number 1 is all these new NBMEs tend to underpredict, like we told it before. They tend to underpredict. And then number 2, NBME 25 and NBME 28 grossly underpredict the score. So don't be disheartened if you have taken these exams and scored low. They by nature they are like that. And the third thing is NBME 26, 27, 29 and 30 are they still slightly underpredict, but they are somewhat encouraging to someone who is going for the exam. So this is important to know because it'll help you plan the NBMEs over a period of time. That is, you start with a harder NBME, then next you need encouragement, or it's good to see your scores improving. That will build the confidence and push you for the exam. So then you plan these assessments which are encouraging, and then towards the end you will plan whatever is the most predictive ones. Next thing, the number 4 thing is that your score is likely to be somewhere between that is slightly above the 26, 27, 29, 30 and slightly below the UWSA 2. So it is somewhere going to be in the middle of those assessments. And then overall, I think if you have to choose one assessment that is predicting your score well, then it is still going to be the UWSA 2. This will give you the assessment within plus or minus 5 of your UWSA score if you're taking it towards the end. and most of the times in the plus or minus 5, it usually tends to over predict. So, and like we always discuss, the most important thing is the purpose of these NBMEs is not just the prediction, and you don't have to freak out about the scores and predictiveness. The most important thing would be to note the concepts in these new NBMEs, read in and around these concepts, save any pictures or images, then identify your weak areas, not just by seeing one assessment score, but 2 to 3 assessment scores, and do any additional resources to improve yourself.
Okay. So I am reading a question from Priya R. She says, new ethics have always been challenging as an IMG. What is the best way to prepare for ethics?
Yes. So the thing is, ethics, the percentage of questions is anywhere between 9 to 11% on the exam. It cannot go beyond that because that's what is given in the content distribution table by USMLE. So there is still, and the other thing about ethics is the how much ever resources that you do. Like I've seen people doing all the resources, the Kaplan 100 questions, the UWorld questions, amboss ethics, and other things. So the score is hardly going to increase. That you are, it all depends on your mindset and how you are seeing that question, that particular question on that exam day. So it is more important to focus on the rest 90% of the exam. Do that well, focus there, because that's what going to be more fetching and effective. So put your time there. And for this other percentage of ethics questions that are there in the exam, just do whatever is in UWorld, and then amboss ethics is good if you can just read it, and the first aid core concepts on ethics are good, and there are videos on dirty USMLE by dirty USMLE on YouTube on ethics. So these are good. They do just these basic things, and then the most of the focus should be on the other 90% of the exam. So you're going to do well if you follow this.
Okay. The next question is on OET. So before we take that question, I do want to announce that we will start a very affordable online OET prep course, I think later on in May, and we'll post announcements on that as well. So this will be a OET certified tutor from the US. Her name is Lauren Herman. She's going to be starting end of May. But let's get to the question on OET. Is OET mandatory for ECFMG certification? Can I take OET at home, or is it computer based? Please give an overview on how to prepare for OET.
Okay, so OET, the occupational English test, is mandatory for IMGs if you haven't already passed the CS and are planning to get ECFMG certified through one of these 6 pathways that are in place. And then about the OET home and computer based. Currently, the OET computer based and OET home based are not relaunched, and only OET paper based is available for booking on the website. So you need to take the OET paper based, where you will have the reading, listening, and writing on paper, and you need to use a 2B pencil for that. And the speaking will be with a real person who is the interlocutor. And about the overview of preparation for the OET, I would say OET will usually take around 1 to 2 weeks. Most MDs will take 1 to 2 weeks to prepare for the exam, and it depends also on your English proficiency. The 4 components are reading, listening, writing, and speaking. The reading and writing sections, reading and listening sections are usually easy. People don't find it difficult, but it definitely needs some orientation and the speed that will come with practice. So just do some practice questions, you'll be fine with this. But what people usually fear is the speaking and writing section. And as far as the resources are concerned, the official OET website has some sample questions. We will post the link. You can go through that.
Yep, I
And
just posted it.
right. And then number 2 will be, there is also a Google Drive link that is available on the internet, and that has most of the questions and other resources. So we will post the link here as well.
Yep.
So that will be very useful.
Okay.
So the third resource is the official OET website also has some tutoring services that are recommended. You can use one of those. Or yeah, we are, of course, as Pawan mentioned, we are going to start one. And you can use, I suggest that you use one of those tutoring services. And then about the actual preparation, For the reading and writing, you can just use the practice questions from one of these resources, and listening, you will be fine. For the speaking and writing part, the speaking, there are some speaking cards that you will have to practice with your friends or other people who are going for the exam. And then another important tip over here is go through the OET scoring rubric, so you'll know what the examiners are looking for, and then you can incorporate these things into your speaking for during the practice sessions and also on the real exam day. And you will be fine with speaking in that case. And then with regards to writing, this is one of the toughest parts. So there are three kinds of letters that they usually ask: the discharge letter, the transfer letters, um, and the other thing is, I think, I'm not on my top of my mind, but yeah, there are three kinds of letter that are usually asked. And then so it's about, first you have to practice. You should understand the format, the headings, and the grammar and all those things. So just take a question, write your letter, and compare with an ideal letter that is available in the OET website or the resources that we shared. So you will understand what your mistakes are, and towards the end, that is when you're close to the exam, take 2 to 3 mock exams from one of these tutoring services that are available, and know your mistakes, and then you will be fine with the writing section as well then.
Okay. Thank you, Praneeth. So a lot of questions have flown in. So let
Mhm.
me take the next one. Shayla Shaolin is asking, I graduated in March 2019 and I'm aiming for 22-23 match. So I'm assuming applying in September 22. Will I be considered an old graduate? So not really. I mean, you are 2019 graduate. For 2022, you're still like 3 years. So you should be fine, but any other delay will gradually push you out towards that old YOG. I think 3 to 4 years is still very doable. But of course, remember, everything depends on the scores as well. So higher scores can overcome the year of graduation easily. Next question for you, Praneeth, coming from Harjeet Nalwa. Are Kaplan video lectures and lecture notes a good resource for step one?
So yes, so it depends on what phase of preparation you are at. If you are a medical student or you have a lot of time, and then it also depends on how your basic science, how your grip in the basic science subjects are. Usually, it's not. I don't suggest doing the Kaplan videos. They're good. They teach you good basics, but the thing is, the amount of time it takes compared to how effective it is for your exam preparation. So comparing in that way, I wouldn't suggest that. So start with the other thing, that is start reading first aid along with boards and beyond videos. If you don't understand things, then it is a good idea to go back to Kaplan and do that particular subject that you're not able to understand. Otherwise, I would say skip it and then start with the first aid plus sports and beyond.
And I think a similar question from Ajinkya Gaikwad. For step one, should I start directly from boards and beyonds, or is there any other alternative? Although I posted the link to our a complete plan video here, but if you want to comment, his question is, should I start with boards and beyonds or any other alternative?
Right. So like I said, you can just start with the boards and beyond videos. They're good. They are very concise. They teach you good concepts, and they are understandable. But then if you find anything difficult, then is the time you can go to other resources like the Kaplan or RX videos.
Okay. And Rakshna Ram is asking, can you clarify if the step one scores will be considered when applying for residency after 2022? Like if I do in 2023, 24, and is it better to take step one before it becomes pass fail? That is before 26th of January next year.
Right. So this is something we discussed multiple times, and then the thing is, if you are going to take the exam before January 26, 2022, your three-digit score will be retained. Whenever you apply, maybe you apply in 2022, 2023, your scores will be reported. And then about taking the exam before or after, I would say if you can score high, then it's always good to take the exam before January 26, 2022. But then never push your exam or delay your exam for the sake of that pass or fail thing. Just make sure you're prepared for the exam. Your assessment scores at that time will tell you if you're prepared. If you are reaching your plus or minus 5 or minus 10 of your target score, then only take the exam.
Okay. Next question from Priya. My step one score is 210s. I want to reach 250 in CK. What is the best way to prepare for CK with a low step one score, aiming for 250 plus? So, some tips for high score. And I think this is also part of what we were going to cover anyway. So,
Right. So for CK again, UWorld is one very important resource. It's the most important resource for the step to CK. So just it's about mastering the concepts in UWorld. And number two is the practice questions. The more practice questions you do, the more beneficial it is for your exam. So you can do the 4 or 5 hammer questions from amboss. You can do biostatistics and ethics from the step three question bank. And other thing is the rest depends upon what you are lacking. So once you do the first pass of UWorld and take an assessment, you will understand where you are lacking. The rest is about a specific strategy to improve that. So I always discussed one strategy with you guys. I said, so after observe for a few blocks of UWorld on and note down where you're doing the mistakes. That is it note down each mistake and write down the reason for that in an Excel sheet. Is it because of knowledge gap that you're losing it? Is it because you didn't rule out the other options that you lost that question? Or is it because you didn't read the question properly? Or is it because of the speed issue that the time management issue that you lost the question? So then after a few blocks, you will know which is harming you the most, and then you can develop specific strategies to target that.
yeah. Okay, Basil is asking what is a good U World first pass percentile?
Right. So UWorld First Pass is mostly a learning tool. So you don't have enough or complete knowledge of this. Whatever is being asked, you must have read first aid only once, or maybe not even that. So it's basically a learning tool. It's the aim of First Pass is to understand the concepts and annotate those concepts into first aid. So don't worry about the percentage, but anywhere, so it is a material basically. If someone was scoring 40, 50, 60%, anything, I'm fine with that in first pass. When you come to second pass, if you're still doing that, then that's the problem. So you've already known those concepts, and then still you are missing the questions. That will be a problem. So for first pass, don't focus on the percentage, I would say.
Okay. Then Sanjay Krishna is asking, can an Indian IMG match into surgery? What is the ideal scores to match into surgery? In what ways can I improve my CV? So let me take this and then I'll give it to you, Praneeth, because you've also done quite a bit of research on matching in surgery. So any of these specialties, surgery, dermatology, ortho, and all, they tend to be very very competitive. Surgery, a lot of Indian IMGs also try. Obviously, high scores are absolutely a requirement. That goes without saying. And then surgery, a lot of it, because it is procedural, they do expect good elective and hopefully some good strong research. Even then it is quite a competitive field. So even if you end up applying to surgery as your first kind of preference, it's always a good idea to prepare a backup plan. High scores would be 250 plus, I think, to be considered. So Praneeth, what is your perspective on this?
Yes, that's what I think. So a 250 plus score and good USCE, preferably in a university hospital, with some research publications would do the trick. And like you said, it's always good to have a backup. And then by backup, not just applying, but then also do some electives or rotations in that field. Yeah.
Okay. Akshay is asking, can I join a job regarding drug safety in which I have to work from home instead of JR ship while preparing for step one?
So I think is basically asking about gap years, like what to do when you're
Right,
preparing.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I mean, just preparing for steps would be bad on the CV. So you need to be clinically, I mean, active clinically. It's good to join a DMO or medical officer job in a hospital.
Yes.
And you said, yeah, that's the best thing I think would be to do.
Yeah, you have to all understand that obviously scores are important, and especially step one before 26th of Jan next year will be important. but gaps are equally a red flag. So we want to avoid the gaps, and b, like Praneeth said, demonstrate that we are clinically active, because that's where a lot of discussion in the interviews happens. So try to minimize your gaps. Next question, Sanjay is asking resources for biostats and ethics for step one.
Right. So for biostats, I would say one excellent resource is the UWorld Biostatistics. It is separate. It is separate from the step one UWorld, step two CK UWorld, and step three UWorld. So that's a separate subscription that you have to take. It has 72 questions, and that those are very good. It will be helpful not only for step one but also for the other USMLE exams. So that is one must do. And then if you still feel that you are not able to understand or do well, then you can watch Randy Neal videos on YouTube. That is helpful. And then with regards to ethics, I just discussed, do all the UWorld questions, plus memorize or understand the core concepts in first aid. And then dirty USMLE ethics videos are good. So the rest depends on how you approach the question on the exam day.
Okay. Krishna Ram is asking, if I get an extension of 4 months during my internship, will it affect my chances of getting matched? Let me take that. So, most of the Indian students do take an extension nowadays during the internship, typically for doing electives and also maybe preparing for the step. So, I think 4 months is very reasonable. It shouldn't be a problem at all. As long as you go beyond 9 months or 1 year with extensions and no job and all that, then questions will be asked. So 4 months, I think, is very reasonable. Question from Rajesh. My daughter will be doing rotations in 23, 24 and giving step one, CK, etc. in 24. Year of graduation 2024, October. Should she contact USMLE Sarthi after YOG for USCE experience before applying for 2025 match? So thank you. I mean, it is too early, of course, to uh, plan for USCE. If you're applying 2025 match, things can change, but it always is a good idea to start thinking about these things. So in terms of USCE, you would want her to think through the electives, and likely the electives will be either during the internship or slightly before that, and then in her second year probably she should start thinking about step one. We have a complete video, I think, that Praneeth did on the entire planning for USMLE journey, so we can share that link. I'm going to share that link here, and you can go from that. Next question. Will candidates with step one score be preferred over those with pass fail? That's a very important question. So I think this is what is going to happen. If you have high score in step one, and if you think you can get a high score before it goes to pass fail, which is 240, 250 plus, you should definitely take it. It will definitely be of an advantage with just compared to pass fail, assuming your CK is also good. But if you're not confident, then go for pass fail after January. It is very hard to say how all this will pan out, at least for the next year or so, because both the systems will be there. People with high scores or scores will be there in step one and pass fail. So it'll take about a year or so to filter everything out. Shishir is asking, I'm awaiting step one score, year of graduation 2020, planning to give CK in early September, OET early October, no USCE, one article published and three others. Do you advise to apply it for 2022 match or get USCE and apply for 23 match? So it's a good question, Shishir. I think a lot will depend on your scores. You are a recent graduate, so that helps. If you are confident of getting a good score, say again 240, 250 in both steps, and uh, you can get this OET by early October. I think applying late may also work out. You may get some interviews. If you cannot do on-site USCE, you should go for telerotations. But I think if you have good scores, it's definitely worth taking a shot this year. Last year also many of our students did match without on-site USCE because of COVID. So that's something you can consider. Uh, Sanjay is asking, and maybe Praneeth, you can answer this. I'm a third year student in the application process. What am I supposed to enter in the graduation date option?
Right. So if you are in third year and provided you are in the Indian medical, if you are in the Indian medical system, you also need to do internship. So you need to take additional 2 years. You will need additional 2 years before you graduate. So add a date post March of 2 years. So something like April 2023. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Next,
then
sorry.
sorry, Pawan. So I was saying, so during this application, this is a very common question that all of us ask. So whatever you enter is fine. If you just something wrong by 1 or 2 months, that is fine. You will anyway have to complete this again during your CK application. And as long as your school is a medical school approves it, you will be fine. So don't worry too much about that.
Okay, next question, maybe also you can take. Question comes from BP. What are the advantages and disadvantages of taking step 2 CK before step 1?
Right. I don't think there are any advantages until unless you have a personal reason for that. So step one, step two CK preparation mostly. I mean, the questions usually require the step one base. Step one kind of builds the base for you to understand all those questions, the format. So that will be it's very helpful if you can take step one before step two CK. But if for some reason you are unable to and you want to take step to CK, that is also something people have done. And just that you need to maybe brush up a first aid once before you jump into the CK prep.
Yeah. Next question I can take. U2 is asking, is cardiology a residency program? No, it is actually a fellowship you do after internal medicine residency, and it's a 3 year duration. You can obviously then go ahead and do advanced fellowship, but uh, 3 years IM residency, then 3 years cardiology, and then, of course, interventional cardiology and things like that that you can add on. So it's not a residency, it is a fellowship. Ulu is asking, I graduated in 2016, will take step 1 in 2022. What are my chances of matching as I'll be 5 years post grad? So, Ulu, obviously, year of graduation is a filter at a lot of places, but scores will still matter. So, if you're taking step 1 in 2022, that'll be pass fail most likely after January 26th. So, your CK scores will matter. Your step 3, if you can take it on time, will be important, and a lot will also depend on the USCE and the work experience you get. So yes, year of graduation will kind of hurt you, but you can overcome it, with other factors like scores, USCE, probably some research. Basil is asking, what counts as work experience, research experience, and volunteerships? Must the research experience be in US itself? So work experience is, as the name suggests, any kind of full-time work experience, even USCE, all that can be counted as work experience. A volunteer is anything that, giving back to community. So maybe like you did something as a COVID volunteer, or homeless help, helping homeless people and all that. So any organization that does volunteerships, you can join that. Must the research experience be in the US? US research is definitely more preferable, but a lot of students are now doing research in India as part of their med school also. So research always will be valuable. If you cannot do US research, then do in your med school. That will also help. Javera is asking if doing peer reviews for journals like Curious can add anything to my CV. So Curious is not really a high impact journal, but again, better than something. Uh, Try to get some publications out, case reports, reviews, etc. And like we said, something is always going to be better than nothing. Akshay is asking, and maybe Praneeth, you can take this, average time for step 1 preparation.
Right. So a lot of it depends on your grip on the basic science subjects, but IMGs usually take around 7 to 9 months for preparation for step one. And yeah, so 7 to 9 months is the usual time.
Okay. Swati is asking, I've done MBBS and then MS in ENT here in India, 2 years post PG experience also in ENT, now doing third year of senior residency. Is it too late for USMLE? No, actually, home country residency actually adds a lot of value. You will have to get good scores to overcome that year of graduation. ENT itself is going to be very, very hard to match into. So you'll probably look at internal medicine or some of the other specialties. But yeah, it is doable as long as you get good scores. Sushil is asking, is there a possibility for in-person electives or USCE this year? Graduated 2020. Actually, US has been very fortunate, and they've been able to manage the COVID situation. It is improving in the US, so in person, USC has opened up. Electives in the university settings are gradually opening up. Not all of them have opened up, but there are affiliated clinics you can go to rounds with the physicians in the hospitals. They have opened up. You can look up our website. So it's opening up if you can travel. Then Dilshad is asking, YOG 2011, MD Pathology from India, fellowship from Tata Memorial, I guess, Mumbai. Scores, step 1 250, CK 226, chances of matching in pathology, no USC. Actually, you have a very high chance of matching in pathology. Pathology loves people with home country residency in pathology. That means it's not a backup. You have very good step 1, and CK score is also very manageable. Even without USCE, you have a strong chance. If you can get some USCE, travel. If you can, if you cannot travel, obviously because of the visa, because of the ban on COVID, try to do some research or online USCE, but you can definitely match. Uh, does USMLE Sarthi help getting in-person USC this year? Sushil, yes, we have rotations on our website. It's just that travel is up to you. So if you can travel, there is a lot of USCE that is opened up. Um, and U2 is asking, I'd like to request you to tell about neurology program. So if the question is around neurology residency, the scores are a bit lower than IM, the scores requirement, but very open to IMGs. They like if you have rotations and research in neurology. A lot of students are now taking to neurology. A lot of IMGs are taking to neurology. Uh, Where can we start program research, and any common website or research, or each program to be researched separately? How do we know, for example, which are good programs for neurology? So there are a couple of websites you can use. You can use FRIDA, for example, FRIEDA. That is a good start when you are looking for programs. You can filter by the specialty. Then there is our own Sarthi students have access to our own internal database on the list of programs. And there are a couple others, as if you Google, Residency Explorer is another one that you can use. Uh, I graduated in 2020, done with step 1 CK in June, no USCE. Can I apply for this year's match in Neuro? You can. You have one research publication. I think the USCE will have to be there. If you cannot travel, then online, but definitely you should try. What is a prelim and categorical position? Explain about waiver job options in J1 visa. So waiver job options are, after residency. That's something we have a lot of blogs on. Prelim and categorical position. So there are some specialties like radiology, ortho, dermatology, surgery, and all that need a prelim year. So you have to do 1 year of prelim before you go into the advanced position. So that's called the prelim and the advanced specialties. Categorical is something very straightforward, 3 years. Most of the For example, IMG specialties, IM, FM, PEDS, etc., are categorical. You just apply once, get in and get out. Now there are programs in radiology and all that are also categorical, but they take 4 years plus. So that's the difference. U2 is asking, Praneeth, for you maybe, how long before we fill up the step 1 form? I don't understand what it means.
So if you're talking about the application process, then if do the certificate of verification, which is the Form 186 process, 6 months before your targeted exam date, and then start the step one application, that is the Form 183 process, 3 months before. But yeah, I think now ECFMG is much better than it was in January or February. There were many delays. Try to get it done at least 7 to 6 months before the targeted exam date.
Okay. Priya is asking how to get USCE. So Priya, you can apply to the programs directly, or you can use some companies like USMLE Sarthi. We also help in USCE. So look up our website, and you can either do online telerotations or on-site if you can travel. Asim is asking, I did some volunteer work, but I don't have any certificates. So how can I put it in the CV? So they don't look for certificates in the ERAS CV or even during the interview. It is just, you telling them and how well you articulate your point of view on what you did. So I don't think certificates are needed for volunteership. Uh, Javera is asking, 7-year-old graduate, 2 years training in hempath from Pakistan, couple of publications in Pakistani journals, and wrote a dissertation as well. Do I have a chance in pathology? Yes, of course. Looks like your profile is well suited for pathology, of course. So yes, you do. Neurosurgeon in home country considering neurology. What are my chances? Step 1 in November or December. So neurosurgery, of course, as itself is very difficult, but yes, neurology would be a very logical choice for you. Scores will determine, a lot of where you land. So Sindhi, YOG March 2020, how can we supplement for the gap year since it's going to be disadvantaged during interviews? So gap means if you have not worked at all from March to now, March last year to now, and that is going to be a red flag. If you have worked in your home country, then you should be fine. Then it's not really a gap as long as you take your exams, apply on time. You're still a recent graduate. So Basil is asking, Dr. Puneet, can you share your journey?
Right. The step journey. So basically, whatever videos that we did is based on my journey and the mistakes that I think I shouldn't have done, or what changes I should have made into my preparation. So you can watch that those videos. The plan, whatever is out there, is from my experience,
Yep.
and we will share a link to that.
Yep. I already did. So, you should all look at, there are the playlists which are on step 1 only, and that document his journey, his mistakes, and some of the tips. Is research volunteering counted for match? Yes, of course. Research will be a good addition. It can be counted. Can I prepare for CK and attend telerotations at the same time? So telerotations, in a good sense, are not 8 hours a day. So it's 3 to 4 hours every day. And if you can take time out, yes, then of course you can prepare for CK and attend telerotations at the same time. But remember, CK scores are very, very important. So last couple of questions before we wrap up. BP is asking, can we submit Form 183 directly to ECFMG or through medical school?
So BP depends on if your school is participating in the EMSWP process. If it is participating in the EMSWP, then the Form 183 verification process all would be online through the EMSWP portal. If it is not, and if you are able to see that Form 183, downloadable Form 183 after you pay the fees, that means it is not participating, and then you will have to take it physically to your medical school, get it signed by your dean, and post it through mail to ECFMG to the given address in the form. You cannot email it. You have to courier, or you have to mail it to ECFMG.
Okay. Asad Ali is asking, do you recommend applying for the upcoming match without step 3 and USCE, or wait one more year for step 3 and some USCE? So step 3 is always good to have, but it depends, right? So if you're a recent graduate, 250 plus, 240 plus, I think you should go ahead and apply for step 3. Recent graduates should definitely apply without step 3. When it comes to USCE, that is more tricky. Without any form of USCE is going to be very hard to match in most specialties. But if you can do even tele, that will help you. So zero USC is going to be very hard, but step 3 without step 3 is okay. Satyan is asking, Praneeth, for you. Now, next two will be there after completion of internship. So I think this is the Indian system. So if I delay my internship for elective, will I be eligible for next two exam on graduation year?
So the process of that next exam, the next one, next part two is not yet out. So we can't say what the process would be. I don't think any delay would make you ineligible for the exam. But there is no information as of now that is not into the process. We are still in the process of the NEET PG. So don't worry about that now.
Okay. How are program directors linking the telerotations and LORs from them? Very good question, Preetham. We obviously now we are into the second season of telerotations and COVID pandemic. So we have one full season's data. Telerotations are actually starting to be very well accepted by the programs. We had a lot of students who did telerotations and they've matched successfully. The LORs tend to be very, very personalized. So there are types of telerotation. So in some telerotations, you actually get to interact with the patient. They assign you the patient, you present the patient, so on and so forth. So there is a lot of patient interaction. You can also use EMR. So some of our telerotations do that. Then the other type of telerotations are didactic based. So the LORs tend to be very good if you select the right kind of telerotations. Noreen is asking, any advice giving step 1 in pass-fail, graduated in 2020. So we do have another video on pass-fail, but Praneeth, any comments on pass-fail?
So, I mean, don't worry if you are having to take it after pass fail. If the preparation and your assessment scores are not up to the mark before that, and then no problem, take it afterwards. There is always a way that programs want to, they will find a way to filter between applicants, and that is most likely going to be CK and step 3. So then you just have to focus on your CK score, get it done, get a good score on CK, get step 3 done before applying. All those things will help you along with the overall CV.
Good CV for radiology. So like any other competitive specialty, radiology will prefer high scores, although these specialties can take low scores also, but definitely in almost all cases, US research, strong US research, in radiology or something related will help you. If you have a home country residency in radiology, like many of our students do, then there is an alternate pathway. But the point is, how do you demonstrate your interest in radiology? So that comes from rotations, research, home country experience. So that's, I think, is the key. Then completed my internship, have decided to give step 1. Is that late in the process? This is from Aditya. So I don't think it's late, but Praneeth, step 1 after internship.
Mhm. Right, Aditya. So, as Pawan said before, it's not late, and also keep yourself clinically active. Get some medical officer job or something. Try to publish in the meantime. So it shows up that you are active and still with the process and not just preparing for exams. And you can finish the step process or the USMLE process in 1.5 years. Then get some USC and apply. Then you will be good. You will still be a fresh graduate if you apply before 3 years.
Okay. 260, 266 scores, do not have USCE, cannot travel. Should I apply this year? Nitya is asking. Absolutely. You really have to apply with these scores. Get some telerotations, this is excellent scores. I mean, why would you not apply? uh, with telerotations, you will have a strong chance of interviews. Obviously you cannot take step 3 unless you can travel, but 260, 266 is a very good score. So Mehak is asking, can you provide research? So we do have research courses, Mehak. The next one will start in July. Can you provide research ideas for a third year student? So there are, you should definitely start in your med school. There are some research projects that we also have. Like I said, we'll start in July, and then we can give you more information. And thank you. Praneeth has posted that link for research.
Mhm.
All right, I think that was all the questions we had. So thank you, everyone. This was great, and we'll keep you posted. So subscribe to this channel here, and you all know we have an Instagram page. The Instagram, we do very regular updates there. We have a Facebook page, website, etc. So good luck to all of you, and stay safe, everyone. I mean, this pandemic is really wreaking havoc. So hopefully you're all safe and preparing for your USMLE journey. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.